Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 7 o'clock main news. In tonight's headlines, His Highness the Emir sends a cable of condolences to His Excellency the President of Iran on victims of the plane crash near Mehrabad Airport. An Iranian passenger jet crashes shortly after takeoff, killing 39 people and injuring 9. Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan is set to become the country's first elected president. And Typhoon Halong leaves dozens injured as it hits western Japan. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of condolences to His Excellency the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Dr. Hassan Rouhani, on victims of the Iranian passenger plane that crashed near Tehran's Mehrabad Airport. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of condolences to His Excellency the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Dr. Hassan Rouhani, on victims of the Iranian passenger plane that crashed near Tehran's Mehrabad Airport. His Highness Sheikh Jabir al-Mubarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ecuador, Rafael Correa Delgado, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ecuador, Rafael Correa Delgado, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness Sheikh Jabir al-Mubarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received this morning at his Sif Palace Diwan the National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanem. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince then received the Acting Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince also received the Deputy Premier, Minister of Interior and Acting Minister of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs Sheikh Mohammed Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah. Later on, His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince received the Deputy Premier and Minister of Defence Sheikh Khalid Al-Jarrah Al-Sabah. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince also received the Minister of Information and Minister of State for Youth Affairs Sheikh Salman Sabah Al-Salim Al-Hmoud Al-Sabah. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince then received the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs and Acting Minister of Justice Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Mubarak Al-Sabah. Finally, His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince received the Minister of State for Housing Affairs, Minister of Communications and Acting Minister of Municipality Yasser Hassan Abul. Palestinian negotiators have warned they will leave Cairo on Sunday if their Israeli counterparts do not show up for truce talks after Israel pummeled Gaza with fresh airstrikes that killed more Palestinians. More in this report by Majd Al-Wahidi from Gaza.
Witnessed harsh bombardment from the sky, land and sea. Tens of Palestinians, including children and women, were among the dead in the second day after the ceasefire ended. For over a month, Israel has pounded Gaza, pushing the death toll to almost 2,000 deaths. The number of injuries has also risen to more than 9,000. And for hospitals, coping with such overwhelming casualties is difficult.
The health sector is suffering from a severe shortage of medicines and logistic capabilities. We were able to offer our service in the hospital, but until this moment, we need more medicines and support from the world. Also, the kind of injuries we deal with need special treatment that is not available here. What concerns us now is that Israel will continue its aggression against innocent civilians in Gaza.
US, Britain, France, and Germany have urged Israel and Hamas to agree to an immediate ceasefire. But actions speak louder than words. So far, indirect negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians have failed, with both sides sticking to their demands. Israel recalled its delegation, saying it would not negotiate under fire, while Palestinians have warned they would quit ceasefire talks if no Israeli delegation showed up.
As for the last agreement in Cairo in 2012, the Israelis confiscated it from the first time, the Palestinian good confrontation must build a new agreement with a new basis, with a new demands, and with new guarantees to let the Israelis commit for this basis.
For people in Gaza, 35 days of constant death and destruction have been the worst days in their lives. And with no sign of a ceasefire, hopes of a normal life seem like a distant reality. Despite the global pressures and millions of protesters in the streets of world capitals demanding a ceasefire and an end to Palestinian suffering, Israel's military refuses to silence its guns and started treating Palestinians humanely. Majlou Hadi, Kuwait TV, Gaza.
Officials said that 48 people were killed when a small passenger plane crashed to the west of the Iranian capital, Tehran. The aircraft, which was heading to the eastern city of Tabas, went down in a residential area near Mehrabad airport this morning. Iran has suffered a series of plane crashes blamed on its aging aircraft and poor maintenance record. Many Iranian planes are fitted with unofficial spare parts. There have been more than 200 accidents involving Iranian planes in the past 25 years, leading to more than 2,000 deaths. Several parts of Donetsk came under fire this morning. In Kievsky district, black smoke was rising above the headquarters of the Ukrainian telecommunications company. Ukrainian forces are tightening their grip on the rebel-held Donetsk, preparing for the final blow. Commanders say the army is making steady gains and virtually encircled the separatist second-largest stronghold of Luhansk, where rebels declared a state of siege in Donetsk, the largest city they hold. Kiev security officials said separatist fighters were launching counterattacks to break a tightening noose around the rebels who seek to set up a pro-Russian People's Republics in the east of Ukraine. Pro-Russian separatists said yesterday they were ready for a ceasefire with the Kiev government after increasing gains by Ukrainian forces against the rebels. Ukrainian officials said they are ready to agree to a ceasefire, but on condition the rebels surrender their arms. Monitors from the cooperation in the OSCE have deployed several teams to polling stations around the country, including Turkish capital Ankara and the country's largest province of Istanbul, to monitor Turkey's first direct presidential election. Turks began voting today with Recep Tayyip Erdogan poised to become the country's first elected president, fulfilling his dream of what he calls a new Turkey, and his opponents said they will be an increasingly authoritarian nation. Vice President of the OSCE, George Tresatli, said the observers' mission was to monitor a free and democratic election process.
Came at the opening of the station, and we did not see any irregularities. The commissions are quite well organized, they are capable, they are working with us with pleasure. So voters can express their right to vote.
Typhoon Halong has hit western Japan, leaving dozens of people injured while the Coast Guard searched for a man who went missing, apparently while surfing when the storm hit. The Japan Meteorological Agency said the storm was expected to move away from the Japanese archipelago today after it made landfall on the largest and most populous island of Honshu. Local media reported about 1.6 million people had been ordered to evacuate their homes ahead of the storm. More than 200 flights were cancelled and some bullet trains suspended services due to the typhoon. Public broadcaster NHK said houses and rice paddies were submerged in a wide area of western Japan, mainly on Shikoku Island. Officials reported fighting between Al-Shabaab government and African Union or AU troops in the central Hiran region of Somalia, leaving 18 people dead on both sides. An Al-Shabaab spokesman said today that the deaths occurred after the group's fighters attacked a base of the AU forces in Bulaburde town. The fighting began around midnight Friday, lasting about 4 hours into yesterday morning. Troops from the 22,000-strong AU force captured Bulaburde from Al-Shabaab earlier in the year, but the armed group controls large parts of the rural area surrounding the town. The latest fighting came after Al-Shabaab launched attacks in the heart of Mogadishu, including recent raids on the presidential palace and parliament in a bid to topple the internationally backed government. Afghan officials said that 4 civilians were killed and about 7 more were injured in Kabul today when a suicide bomber targeted a NATO convoy. A spokesman for Kabul's police chief said the suicide car bomber targeted the convoy on a main road in western Kabul. Taliban spokesman claimed responsibility for the bombing. The Taliban has sworn to step up attacks against Afghan security forces in a bid to undermine the Western-backed government as foreign combat troops prepare to withdraw by the end of the year. Southeast Asian foreign ministers and senior diplomats of 18 nations around the world attended the East Asia Summit Foreign Ministers meeting in Myanmar today. They are expected to address international and regional matters as well as cooperation in areas such as energy, education, disaster management and food security. The EAS Foreign Ministers meeting brings together delegates from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, along with those of Australia, Canada, China, India, Japan, South Korea, the United States and Russia. This is also the first time that global senior diplomats meet their Russian counterpart since the Crimea takeover and the downing of Malaysia Airlines flight MH17. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, who arrived in Myanmar yesterday, also held a sideline meeting with Myanmar President Thein Sein at the presidential palace to discuss reforms and human rights in the country. The charity Médecins Sans Frontières, or the MSF, said that Liberia's medical services have been completely overwhelmed by the Ebola outbreak. The MSF coordinator in Liberia said official figures were underrepresenting the reality and that the health system was falling apart. Nearly 1,000 people have died and 1,800 have become infected in West Africa. The Ebola outbreak is centered on Liberia, Sierra Leone and Guinea, but has spread to other countries in recent months. The World Health Organization said on Friday that the virus was a global health emergency. In local financial news, the Kuwait Stock Exchange ended on a mixed note today as the price index gained 6.28 points to close at 7,192.7 points. The weighted index slipped by 2 points to close at 485.57 points, and the KSX 15 dropped by 7.7 points to settle at 1,193.26. Today's session saw 3,233 spot transactions worth 12.19 million Kuwaiti dinars, with over 116 million shares changing hands. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. And to recap tonight's news, here are the headlines once again. His Highness the Emir sends a cable of condolences to His Excellency the President of Iran on victims of the plane crash near Mehrabad Airport. An Iranian passenger plane crashes shortly after takeoff, killing 39 people and injuring 9. Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan is set to become the country's first elected president. And Typhoon Halong leaves dozens injured as it hits western Japan. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening.